should Donald Trump get involved in the financial structure and a framework of operation going forward for college sports? Well, now we find out today that it's not just college sports. Some enterprise reporting, I first saw it on MSNBC, and now pretty much everybody has picked up with it. Reports say that Donald Trump, who is currently in the Middle East right now, having high-level meetings with Middle Eastern dignitaries and politicians and leaders of countries, when he meets with the Saudis, he will drop an ultimatum on the Saudis saying, get the LIV PGA Tour merger done or else. And who knows what that or else means. Now, you'll remember Donald Trump during the campaign said that he would need 15 minutes in a room and this thing would be done. Well, he's had that opportunity on multiple times and it hasn't been done. And apparently his next step now, according to reports, is that Donald Trump will drop an ultimatum on the Saudi, and will that be the Saudi government? Will that be the PIF, which is the investment arm of the Saudi royal family? We'll see how that all plays out. But Jake, do you think Donald Trump should be spending time on a trip to the Middle East talking about the LIV Golf PGA Tour merger?
Yeah, I think that, I don't think he should be spending time on it just to do that. I think that, the president obviously has an immense list of responsibilities and action items, things that he's working on and doing, of course. And I think that, the PI or the LIV, PGA Tour situation, I think is unique unto itself. And it's a little bit different than like the college football stuff we've been talking about this week. And, every situation is kind of a little bit different. I do think that, the president, and I hadn't really thought about it this way, but I do think that, without getting too deep into it, like, politics and things like that globally can be influenced by how much you allow someone to invest in your sports domestically. And there's a lot of trades that can be done and deals can be made and a lot of leverage to be played. So I understand the attractiveness to it if you're the president. At the same time, though, I would be remiss if I didn't say I think there are more important issues than the LIV PGA merger or, the college football or college athletics figuring it out. I mean, the list is endless of things that the president has to work on, but you kind of get my point here is that sports should not be at the top of the list. And no, I don't think that you should be going to the Middle East, let's say, just to work on sports. Now, obviously, it's, the president would never go just to work on sports, but I just don't think it should be something where, the most powerful people in our government should be spending loads of time on this. And that's really where I kind of come down on it. I would love to see the best players in the world all golfing on the same tour again. I think the game needs it.
We need it more than just 4 times a year.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to it this week at Quail Hollow. It's going to be great. But yeah, I think that the PGA Tour needs it and we as golf fans need it. But again, I have to say there's a big part of me that feels like, yeah, maybe this shouldn't be on the top of the priority list based on what we're dealing with.
I think when you look at Donald Trump, throw out what you believe about his politics, whatever. He's in position to have leveraging conversations with really influential and important people. And those people happen to be involved in this case, LIV Golf. It is the Saudi royal family. It is the PIF. It is all of the people involved in dividing the PGA Tour and LIV Golf.
Mm-hmm.
With LIV Golf, you formed the LIV Golf Tour. You dumped a bunch of money on people, and those people choose to leave the PGA Tour. It's been incredibly difficult to try and unwind that clock. And I don't know that Donald Trump's going to be able to do it. But he certainly has levers to pull. And who knows what that is? I mean, we've seen him leverage tariffs. We've seen him leverage policy to create a desired effect.
Right.
Will he pull those levers to save professional golf in this country? I don't know. I think he's certainly going to try. I think I think Donald Trump is in a very interesting position in that a lot of his golf resorts that he owns and courses that he owns host LIV Golf events.
Yeah, so there's definitely that natural connection, and
Yeah.
I do think Donald Trump has always been, you know, in one form or fashion, has always been involved in the sports community over the course of his life. And take politics out of it, you know, pre-politics, Donald Trump, all that. Like you just look at his life, and he's always had some type of connection to it. So I just look, I think that you know, if you said to me, hey, well, you know, what's the best case scenario? Well, I think the best case scenario is a solution. Like if we just look at golf, like yeah, a solution that merges everything together. And you know, based on what he's done so far in this presidency, in this term, like I think you know he's all about these trade deals and leveraging folks and trying to get stuff done. So I can easily see it's not hard to connect the dots of hey, you're talking about sports, but what we're really talking about is this or that or the other, and it's just going through sports.
How important is it though? Because
yeah.
I think one of the conversations around this LIV Golf PGA Tour thing is that does golf need saving?
I mean,
not as much as I need saving from this cough.
Right.
Does golf need saving? No, it does not. Does golf need unification and healing? Absolutely. I think when you start to hear these stories about how much emotion, how much pain and angst, guys like Tiger Woods, guys like Rory McIlroy, certainly,
yeah,
these big players, how much regret allegedly a guy like Brooks Koepka has for leaving the PGA Tour, but has no path back to the PGA. There's a cat named Wesley Bryan who was a professional golfer on the PGA Tour. Not a high-level guy. He's got one tour win, but he's one of the biggest influencers on YouTube Golf. And he was playing in regular events on the PGA Tour. And then he went down to Miami and did an influencer tournament at the LIV Golf Miami event, and he got banned for a year from the PGA Tour. That can't happen. And that's the stuff that needs to get fixed. I would love nothing more than seeing guys like Bryson. Bryson DeChambeau is good for golf.
Yeah.
It's awfully difficult to argue that Bryson DeChambeau versus Rory McIlroy is not good for golf.
Yeah, and that's been an ongoing saga. I mean, that's been something that we as golf fans have been paying attention to. So that's why I say, like, I don't think that this conversation around, you know, whether it's the Big 12 or whether it's, you know, golf or, you know, whatever you want to look at, you know, I think there are opportunities to get small wins in that conversation, you know, bringing all those guys back from LIV and kind of erasing LIV and getting a back into unison. Hey, we've got the PGA Tour domestically, we've got the DP Tour worldwide, and all of it kind of works together real well. That's what everybody wants. The question is, what's going to have to take place to get that to happen?
That's the question.
And I think that's why I think the president is interested in figuring this out. But what I don't want to happen is I don't want this to turn into like some big to do and some big fuss. The last thing we need is...
What does that mean, a big
well,
to do?
I don't know. I mean, it's the unintended consequences, you know, of you're going to the Middle East and one of the things you want to talk about is LIV Golf. Like, you know, I don't know what the you know, the unintended consequences.
So you feel like there could be a negative.
Yeah, I mean, I think that anytime you're in negotiations, anytime that you like, you know, okay, you're the president, you want to try to positively impact something domestically by going overseas and talking to those people that control it. You know, yeah, there's always potential blowback. There's always things that you maybe didn't think about.
Okay, I would agree with that.
Like,
I would agree with that.
And I think that, you know, when you look at like, and again, I'm being careful because I don't want to get into some deep ass like political conversation, but when you look at other things going on in our country, you know, the economy, you know, all those major topics we always bring up in politics, I still think there's a lot of work to be done there. And so all I'm saying is, hey, cool. If you're going to the Middle East and sports is one of the line items, I'm good with that.
Well, I think there's no question he's going to the Middle East to talk about OPEC. He's going to the Middle East to talk about oil, right? Different show. Okay, cool. Yeah. If you're in the room with the Saudis and you have an opportunity to fix LIV Golf and the PGA Tour, I hope he takes it.
Yeah.
I agree with you. If it's an action item and if it's like OPEC oil deal, LIV Golf. Okay, that's probably not the right way to go about it.
No.
Right? So let's get your thoughts on it. Do you guys care about LIV Golf versus the PGA Tour? Again, on this show, we talk about the things we're most passionate about, right? I'm absolutely I want to see Scotty Scheffler against Rory McIlroy and Brooks Koepka. I want the guys on LIV Golf to be relevant again. Because I got to tell you, guys like Bubba Watson, Sergio Garcia, those dudes are completely invisible. They are. And if you go look at the Masters, it's guys like Tyrrell Hatton, but his name doesn't register with you. Played really well at Augusta, but you don't even know who the hell that guy is. It's a guy like a Patrick Reed. Bryson DeChambeau and Brooks Koepka are probably the two biggest names.
Yeah.
We need those guys going head-to-head with JT, with Scotty, with Rory. We need that week in and week out. We need to stop worrying about, well, is Bryson going to play on the Ryder Cup? Well, why the hell wouldn't he?
Yeah.
He is arguably one of the top 3 players in the world. I mean, if I had to rank them, I'd put right now today, Rory, Scotty, probably Bryson. Those are the top 3 players in the world, in my opinion.
And obviously for the Ryder Cup, you're going to take Rory out of there, so your choices are more limited.
I just mean in the world.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
if you look at the Ryder Cup, the Euros have far more talent in LIV Golf than the Americans do.
Yeah.
Because Koepka and DeChambeau are probably the only 2 that you're like, yeah, those guys would be on the Ryder Cup every year.
Yeah.
But you have a ton of dudes on LIV Golf Europe. I don't think the European side of this conversation gives a rat's ass if they're getting paid by the Saudis.
Yeah.
I don't. But let's make something very clear. If Donald Trump finds a way to fix LIV Golf and PGA Tour on this trip, dude, that would be, I don't even know, that would be massive for sports. That would be,
yeah.
Because at this point it's hard to argue it's an international incident.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. All right, let's see. Want to talk about Doge investment money, how you are wasting millions on a trip to just talk about golf is ridiculous. He's not. Okay. Again, politics aside, Donald Trump is not there to talk about LIV Golf. You want to talk about airplanes for free and oil? Okay, cool. Get upset about stuff? Okay, cool. Donald Trump is not going to the Middle East to fix LIV Golf and the PGA Tour. That's not the purpose of his trip.
But I agree.
And if I've got to explain that, you're probably not paying attention.
And that's what, sidebar to this conversation, that's what makes it difficult to have any type of conversation, that kind of blends the political and sports things together, right? Because there's no question that this is a blending of the two. And I'm just not interested in having some fiery ass conversation about, the merits of dude's politics. All I'm saying is that if you think about it, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand that if you're going to the Middle East to talk about oil and you're in that room and you have the conversation about LIV, you're telling me that based on Donald Trump's deals and what he's done so far, who we know him to be as a businessman, if you will, you're telling me that those don't blend together and there's not a kind of a, this.
Go ask the people at the Royal Bank of Canada.
Yeah, exactly.
Who are the title sponsors of multiple significant events on the PGA Tour, who have said, if you don't put this back together, we're going to pull out.
Yeah. Which again is good for nobody.
When you look at the viewership, golf is at an all-time high popularity-wise. The numbers are really good. I mean, I just can't emphasize enough at some point, and I agree with you. At some point, we got to stop doing I'm a Republican and you're a Democrat, or you're a Democrat, you suck. We're talking about golf and the President of the United States. You want to talk about an oil collapse? You want to talk about inflation? Okay, different show. Let's just talk about the President of the United States is going to be in the same room with the guys who make decisions for the PIF and LIV Golf. He can fix that. Now, does he have a great track record as a deal maker? He doesn't. But should he just not try? Oh, he should try, no doubt.
Yeah.
Backwoods, sexy Mike Smith. Go ahead. I don't want to deprive you of your one-liner. What are you guys talking about? I don't want to know. Mike also said too much tax dollars wasted on golf activities. Well,
bro, that may be true.
Homie golfs, Donnie golfs a ton.
Yeah.
I mean,
but hold on. But in fairness, and I can't believe I'm in this position.
Please go ahead and defend Donald Trump.
I have to say, the absolute wastefulness of presidents is not.
It's appalling,
dude. And it's not unique to Donnie. Donnie may be one of the more egregious defenders. I don't disagree with that. But presidents just burning through taxpayer dollars is
for
not
jet
new.
fuel.
Yeah.
Go ahead and check out that jet fuel bill, bud.
Yeah, like come on,
Lord.
Dude.
Fat Jesus. How's your dad, Fat Jesus? Okay, let's move on. Trump can't fix everything. Have him check out your cough. Can fix everything. Have him check out your cough, dudes. So last night, I historically sleep really well. In general, my sleep app says I get 6 hours and 8 minutes of sleep almost every single night. Last night, I lay down a little later than usual, 10 o'clock. After the baby making stuff, we just go. I fall asleep. I wake up at 10:45 in a raging coughing fit.
Brutal.
Has not happened in a month. I'm 5 weeks past, and I shouldn't say that. I'm less than 5 weeks past. I'm probably 4.5 weeks past. Because I got back from Chicago. I'm like 4 weeks past pneumonia.
Right.
When I went to the doctor, got antibiotics, took them, it's over. That was probably 2.5 weeks ago. They're saying that pneumonia cough can take 6 weeks from when the antibiotics killed the infection.
Dude.
It was brutal. Coughing fit. I got out of bed because my wife is training for this triathlon this weekend. Yesterday morning, she goes from a long Peloton ride to a long treadmill run to a short Peloton ride. Hops in the shower, goes to work, comes home, meal preps. We hang out together. We go to bed, and then I have a coughing fit. And I'm like, Jesus, she's not going to sleep a wink. I need to go. So I went and slept on my couch for like 45 minutes. Couldn't go to sleep for 45 minutes. Flip on the boob tube, watch Sports Center, fell right asleep. Right after the awkward Anthony Edwards interview. He's literally wearing a Gatorade towel over his head with headphones on top of the towel and ignoring the questions and talking to people on the court. And then like shouting guys out, hey, and he's dabbing a dude up and he's like, I'm sorry, I missed your question. What? Like, it was ridiculous. That ends. They're talking. I fall asleep. I wake up and it's 1:11. Turn off the TV, go back upstairs, slept straight through to 4:59. No more coughing. But I coughed for like 30 minutes, couldn't go to sleep. And then
weird,
today I get up and I feel fine. And then at like 11, I started coughing again. It's brutal, you guys. It is brutal. Monty is anti-Trump. Trump will not help with the cough. I'm not anti-Trump. I'm pro-America. I am pro-America. America. Does LIV Golf have a female version like the LPGA? They're talking about doing that.
Yeah.
They're in development on it. I really do not know, but curious. They are in development on it. It's time for a chest x-ray, Monty. It's not time. I've already been through the process. I had full-blown pneumonia. When I got back from Chicago, I had full-blown pneumonia.
So much to the point that they didn't have to do an x-ray because you could hear it.
No, when the lady was horrified. I'm not even joking. I did a telehealth appointment. And I think, and that's the Rula thing today, you guys, seriously. Let me tell you my experience with telehealth. On my iPhone, University of Utah Health is my medical provider.
Yeah.
I get on there, I tell the lady, she's like, yeah, we're going to have to get you in for a chest x-ray. I can't make a diagnosis or prescribe you medication. There's an opening in 90 minutes. Go. Okay, cool. I go in. The lady doesn't even want to do a chest x-ray. She puts her stethoscope on my lungs. And she's like, yeah, man, you have full-blown pneumonia. She can hear it. And I was telling you guys, like I was laying in bed the night before and I heard like this crackling. I mean, it sounds like crack. It sounds like it's almost like a bad muffler is what it sounded like. And she was saying, yeah, that's pneumonia. Your lungs are filling up with fluid because you have an infection in your lungs. And that's the gurgling that you're hearing.
Wild.
Yeah. So she gave me not one, but 2 different antibiotics. A week later, knocked it out. It was gone. And I just can't get this cough out. It's brutal. But again, I want to shout out our newest sponsor on the show. Please get to roulette.com/Monty. The link is in the description here on YouTube below. If you're on Twitter, if you're on Facebook, if you're on Insta Snapface, please consider going to roulette.com/Monty. If you're listening on our audio podcast, roulette.com/Monty. You guys, get your mental health in check. There's no reason to run and hide from it. Especially as men, we tend to be proud and we're going to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. You don't have to do that. Monty, I can't afford it. Yes, you can. It's $15. Most cases, when you have health insurance, it's $15. And you are going to get connected with a therapist who's going to be able to meet with you over video link within days. 1 to 2 days, hours even we're talking about. You don't have to suffer in silence anymore. Be the best version of yourself. And if you're a dad, if you're a granddad, if you're a son, a brother, a father, take care of the people around you by starting to take care of yourself. Roulette.com/Monty. Healthcare should not be, especially mental health care, you guys. Mental health care should not be something that's out of reach or embarrassing. Roulette.com changes that for you. Roulette.com/Monty. A couple more comments because then we got to get to the NFL. Fat Jesus, when big-time golfers cry about money, I don't care if they aren't relevant again. Well, there is that.
Yeah, I think that's spot on, bro.
Oil, airplanes, Kushner, payoffs, golf, it's all relative. Well, relatives. I think that's what you meant. Giggity Donnie making deals with the guy who orders people's heads to be cut off.
Yeah.
Which is why a lot of people are not fans of LIV Golf. Monty, presidents have wasted tax dollars on golf trips. Oh, every one of them.
Yeah.
Every one of them. However, only one I can remember that also made money on Secret Service and other entities paying. Well, different show. Different show. I mean, what the Donald Trump? I am not going to make some. I think we should be able to, as adults, have conversations that are well kept. And we just aren't able to do that when it comes to politics in this country right now. We're not able to do it. Big Daddy Magic, if you and Mrs. Monty have a baby, can you name it Victor, please? Hell no. We're going to name it Cooper for the real face of the NBA.